So we have some club announcements. The February photo of the month winner was ETPHI3, that's ETPHI3. This photo was featured on multiple platforms. The February photo of the month voter random prize winner was Karen. Her user ID is Karen. She won the CCAN bundle.
Yes.
The March photo of the month is open for photo submission to the end of the month. The winner this month gets a $50 gift certificate of their choice. And I believe this month's voter prize is Willow's Reef Coral Feast with Glass Aquatics Aquarium Towel Bundle. In April, here are our upcoming events. Wednesday, April 12th at 7 p.m. will be our club Zoom meeting featuring Mark Levinson of Mila's Reef, of course. Saturday, April 22nd from 1 to 2, the club will do a gathering and giveaways at Frank's Tanks in Fort Worth. So come, it's a hangout with hobbyists. There'll be giveaway, drawing names at 2 p.m. You can come early, drop off. You don't have to be present to win for that. We also have Saturday, April 29th. It's the all-day bus tour, all inclusive and free. It's a motor coach going to 5 local area fish stores. There'll be specials at those stores, giveaways, raffles between most stops. There's some more details in the form, so that sounds like fun. Sign up for that. The opening will be on March 31st, so in about 8 or 9 days in the premium member forum area. So if you want to do that, make sure you sign up. First come, first serve, I believe. Lots of other speakers, events, and giveaways are planned further out this year and even into next, with details on the calendar and in our forum. And I think that does it for announcements. Just quick intro. You guys know Connor of CoralVue. You know, if you're not familiar with CoralVue, they were the biggest distributor of marine aquarium products when I got in the hobby back in the late 90s, soon thereafter. And it would take the rest of our meeting to identify all the brands that they distribute, but you've heard of many of them, Fauna Marin, Octopus Skimmers. But their new project is the Hydros controller and software and app and associated accessories. So we're all really excited to hear Connor tell us what's going on in the world of hydrants. Connor, to you. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. You know, and you kind of nailed it on the head. CoralVue has been around for a long time. I myself have worked here for almost 2 years now. I was doing a lot of things, but with help before then, you know, content creation, things like that, and got brought on to further facilitate that. But you nailed it on the head. CoralVue started selling reflectors way back in the day, and it's just evolved and evolved and evolved to turn it into what it is now, which is the biggest aquarium product distributor in the country. We're the exclusive provider, exactly like you said, the exclusive distributor for Fauna Marin, Reef Octopus, Abyss, so many of these brands, Ice Cap, so many of these brands that are everyday things that people recognize the brand, but they don't see the identity behind it and the CoralVue behind it. So that's kind of why I'm traveling right now too, is to get that good word out there, to spread what's going on and show off what we have, because we have some fun stuff that's available now and fun stuff that's coming. A lot of the times, groups, they want to hear about Hydros. What's the new technology on the block? But I love to like talk on a little bit of all of our brands, because there's technology and advancements in this hobby in the last 10 years that have helped our industry and helped our animals and helped our understanding of what's going on so incredibly much that this hobby is at, you know, the peak right now. And we just keep continuing to grow, and products are coming out and development is happening. And that's kind of our core, is how do we compete in this industry? Is research and development and customer service are number one. So on that research and development, we talked to a lot of our brands, we talked to a lot of our customers, and we wanted to create a controller, a ecosystem, an environment to where any user with their hodgepodge of technology, their tank they just set up, whether it's a 10-gallon tank or a 300-gallon tank, they can get involved at every level. We really need to be looking out for every single hobbyist. I think most of us in this group, obviously the Marine Aquarium Society, we're all pretty deep into this realm. The motto for Hydros is aquarium automation for everyone. So we have options for everyone. Options for $199 to get you started, options for $650 to really dig deep, and we can build past there. So a lot of development has gone into Hydros, not only to highlight our brand, but to highlight our umbrella of brands. So in particular, Connor, we partnered with Connor for the doser. I can make a really cool, sexy doser. We can make a really cool doser at 2 heads, cost $300, make the mold for $30 and pass the cost on you. Or we can partner with the best medical pump company in the world to create a doser for $59.99. And that's what we do, is we started to incorporate those brands. Our sensors are made by Auto Aqua. Our Wi-Fi strip is an OEM Wi-Fi strip, a Toyo Wi-Fi strip. It's affordable at $40. Our sensors are Auto Aqua at $39. We wanted to partner with these companies to facilitate that. So when you want to run a test, an alkalinity test, we don't just give you one option, say you have to use our device. No. The first one to come along was Alkatronic. So we could automatically test alkalinity right out of the box when Hydros started. After that, Mastertronic was added. And a lot of people were looking to test for nutrients, to test for phosphates, to test for nitrates. So because of that Mastertronic device, which is a separate device, we have the ability to partner with them and create an ecosystem that can now test calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, iron, iodine, phosphate, nitrate, nitrite, ammonia, OLI, bring all that information in and make logical decisions based on it. But we didn't just stop at Mastertronic. The next one we wanted to add was the Connor KH Care. That was released, and that's a really scientific piece of instrument that's a standalone device to where if you don't necessarily want to run a Hydros and you just want alkalinity testing, that's a great option. But if you have that device and you went that route, you should still be allowed to add it to our Hydros control system. So we absolutely gave that option as well. And we have our own coming too. But it's gonna be very, very cool about how we do things. Because going back, we wanted to make an aquarium controller for everyone. Every single one of us in here started at a 10-gallon tank, give or take a couple gallons or liters. But we all started at a 10-gallon tank and we expanded from there. So we wanted to create a controller that could do that too. So with Hydros, when you buy that first piece of Hydros control, you get all of the software. There are no software limitations by any means. It all comes down to port inventory for what you need to do. So do you have the ports available on your Hydros control to facilitate the job you want to do? And what that looks like, if we start at a 10-gallon tank and we go with the Control XS, which has 4 sense ports on it, it's a $199 controller. They have their 10, 15, 20-gallon tank. They decide, you know what, I'm pretty deep into this hobby now. I want to get a bigger tank. I need more control out of it. Well, they don't have to sell that original device. They can just continue to grow with it. So we really took the time to sit back and look at our customers, look how things work, look how people are using aquarium controllers and what they really want out of it. And we went about creating that ourselves. So all these are made in-house in Slidell, Louisiana. We have an SMT machine, which we're not shy about sharing either. If you look at our Instagram page, we share video clips of the SMT machine picking and placing electrical components and then soldering them in place. We've done live streams to where we've opened an XP8 on camera and pointed out the electrical components, what they do, how they work. So we're not shy about what we do and about how we're going about it. As we continue to develop that product, we started coming out with more and more controls and more things. The Connor automatic water change up there, I want to talk about that for a second too. A great product that does its job standalone. Now, it does not connect to Hydros, but Chad here saw the benefits of keeping a couple systems separate while Hydros is maintaining everything. So while this machine right above me up here does an automatic water change every single day on its own, we can still incorporate that to Hydros to have that emergency override to stop things from occurring in an emergency. If the water level's this high, turn this automatic water change off. Again, emphasizing you don't have to use our stuff to facilitate what you have. Going forward, when we release the XP8, the Control XP8 is the 8-outlet wired brain right here. And when we released that, a lot of people recognize what that product does. Yeah, it's 8-outlet, it's a wire connection, it turns things on and off. But we do things a little different. Each one of these Hydros controls is a brain unit. And we know things happen every now and again. We try not to have it happen and controls break or whatever it may be, but stuff happens. Each one of these is a control unit, is a brain unit. So we add redundancy every time that we add one of those Hydros controls on there to make a safe system, and continue to do that and add redundancy every time we add something onto there, continuing to build a control and aquarium we want so you get to this massive 300-gallon system. Before I continue and I go off on a spiel, I want to ask, does anybody have any Hydros questions that are burning in their brain? Any stuff going on, Drex?
Yeah, I'm having problems with my Wi-Fi dual controller. So I think it won't. I cannot get it to connect. My last resort I was going to do was just delete it from the system and re-add it back.
So this is a good point, and I'll make sure to circle back with you later after this, and we can actually do like the technical support on everything. But you bring up a good point too. Is I can ask you right now, is you're laying down and sitting and we're having a call, but I could ask you, what color is the LED on that? Because it uses the same software that Hydros uses. And while these LEDs behind me are cool, sexy, fun, and they provide a little lively spirit, they also have diagnostic values. So if somebody like yourself is having trouble, if you were right next to the tank, I could be Drex, what color is the LED on it? On the Hydros controls, they have all the LEDs. The little gyro controller has just 2.
I forget what you call it, where it fades in and out.
Breathing.
Yes.
Breathing red, probably it sounds like. So I can ask that, Drex, what color is it? And on Hydros, I get to ask that one question, and it leads me down so many routes. Because while the LEDs are cool, lively, and fun, they also have diagnostic values. If it's red, it's not connected to the router. If it's blue, everything is copaesthetic. If it's yellow, it's connected to the router, but there's no internet access. Red and white is a hardware issue, green is a software issue, and orange is the DHCP lockout. So when a customer calls us and says, hey, I'm having a problem, they're really grateful that I can ask one question and start the conversation and knock out about 30 minutes of junk before that. I can also remote into a situation and check out exactly what's going on and what may be happening. When we developed that too, we wanted to develop these for service companies, because we know that if a service company adopts Hydros and they give it the thumbs up and they're informative and confident in what they're saying, they're going to pass that along to the next consumer, their next customer, whoever it may be. So we created a controller that works really well for service companies. The feature that really highlights that is managed sharing. So say, for example, I have my tank and I really trust Lisa, but I don't trust Drex at all. And these are the 2 I know, so I'm going to throw them under the bus. And I really trust Lisa, but I don't trust Drex. So I can give Lisa full access to my aquarium, the same access that I have. But Drex, I can limit him to read only or override only, to where he can't go in and jamoke with anything. So on top of that, we can customize alerts. Mark, as a service tech, you don't care if their pH is a little out of whack, but you want to know if your service client has water on the ground or the temperature is 60 degrees. And you can customize those alerts to that's the only thing you receive, and you're not desensitized to it. On top of that, you're going to get multiple alerts. So if 2 things are happening at once, unlike the other guy, if 2 things are happening at once, you're going to get alerts for both things at separate times too. So creating a controller for a service company was kind of our route that we listened to. And I say we listen to the customers. We talk to service companies first. Like, what do you want out of a controller? What do you need? I think the first overwhelming thing on that was waterproof. It has to be waterproof. So all of our devices are IP60, all the Hydros devices are IP65 rated. They're fully wet. And in fact, on the Wave engine, I even have a video of a customer who just went to go service his tank, didn't know anything was wrong, open the doors, and his wave engine is floating in the sump, completely working, totally fine. I love that video. I need to share that out again. But it's things like that that are the small things that go so far. We talk about, yeah, these things are made in-house in Slidell, Louisiana. But what that really means is software development is done in there too. We're very agile with what we want to do. If we want to add a feature, and we've had plenty of times where customers contacted us, said, hey, I have a hydros control. It's really good, except I wish I could do something like this way. And Carlos and I and our engineer Dom will look at it, and whoever will look at it, and we're like, you know what, that's a really good idea. We should implement that. Because we do software development in-house, we're extremely agile. We can send it out there. We send it to our beta testers for, on average, about 4 to 6 weeks. We'll beta test a firmware release, and then we'll release that out to the public. It's something that I'm really happy about because we can tweak things to how we like it, and we don't have to go through it. Everybody that works at CoralVue is a fish person, guys and girls, fish guys and gals. So that's a nice thing to have when you're working in this industry, is somebody that you can just gets it. You know, you say what you want and they get it first try. Any questions before I continue? No? Okay. So
the biggest part that I like is
what's that?
The SD card that you guys have implemented into the controllers.
Yeah.
That's a big plus.
Yes. So that's something that not a lot of people realize is all of that information, when you upload a change, you save your data, all that data gets saved on multiple SD cards. If you have multiple hydros controls in a collective, if you just have one, it just saves on the one. But every one of them has an SD card in it to maintain that backup file. On top of that, Hydros automatically saves your previous 20 uploads. So if I have a customer that comes through and is like, hey, something's going fishy today, but yesterday it was working totally fine, I monkeyed with a whole bunch of stuff in between there. Sometimes they tell me that, sometimes they leave that out. But we can go back and save your butt if you mess something up or we need to go back, and the end customer can do that as well. They go back the previous 20 times to get that automatic backup. That also has a good value too, because if we talked about if one of those controls goes down, another master device is created, and that one becomes the leader, telling you exactly which one is the problem. So the SD card was a integral part in how we want to go about doing that, because it differentiates the way the other guys do it. So that was a good one, and there's more coming along with certain things like that. But I think one of the things a lot of people want to see is, you know, I talked about research and development and fun things that we could do. This one's getting pretty close. So this is the Control X10. This one's not released yet, but as you can see, it's got 4 dosers on it, built in, on a tridonic chip. So these are extremely versatile dosing pumps, anywhere from 0.2 to 100 mils a minute, on a true stepper motor. So it could be continuous duty running Calquas or calcium reactor. But remember how I told you when you buy a Hydros control, you get all of the software. It all comes down to port inventory. So when this device is released, when the X10 is released, the software will be updated, and we are giving away alkalinity testing software for free. The X10 has everything you need to facilitate that test. It has 3 dosing pumps. It has a drive port for a stirrer, and it has a pH probe available for an isolated pH probe test. But because you have that software and you already have the Hydros controls, who am I to tell you you can't have it with what you already have? Again, to facilitate it on the stuff you already have, you need a pH probe, 3 dosers, and a drive port for a stirrer. But we are giving away alkalinity testing software for free. That's a really cool one. And that goes along with our Hydros IV. When we do that test, we isolate a water sample away, and we take a sampled isolated pH. We can also take an isolated sampled salinity. On this device is our first offering of a salinity probe. So that is our first offering of a salinity probe. The industry right now, the market, the aquarium market, is used to a K1 factor probe. And if a K1 factor probe is certified to read this salinity level, a K1 factor probe sits right at the extremity of that. And anytime we sit near the extremity, we're going to have skews, we're going to have extreme measures, we're going to have offsets, we're going to have a whole bunch of nonsense. So we're going to go about doing this in a K10 factor probe. So if this is a certification, our reef tanks sit dead center. So a much more applicable probe for what we're trying to do. But we're not just going to stop there. We hired the best isolated circuit designer in the country, because this conductivity is conductivity. It's electrical. Electrical noise can interfere with that. So we, first of all, need to isolate that salinity chipset away. On top of that, how we're all running salinity right now is we have that conductivity probe placed in our sump. And some of us run big UV ballasts or loose electricity or conductivity. Loose electricity in your sump is very real and very light. We don't really notice it unless we have scientific instruments. But it is in there and it offsets it. So of course, you're still going to have that option to throw your salinity probe inside the sump. Or with the Hydros IV, you're going to be able to isolate it away again. So every 30 minutes, we could take that isolated sampled pH, that isolated sampled salinity, and then we can do an alkalinity test because we have a known value of pH, add known amounts of acid, and we can determine alkalinity level based on the pH drop with how much acid we have added. Just like any titration that's out there on the market. So every half hour, you could be running an alkalinity test for about 3 cents on the dot and make decisions off of that. You can start dosing, you can turn your calcium reactor on, your calquos, whichever way you want to skin the cat is going to be an option for you. So that was a cool device that we released. Again, this is the Control X10. I know a lot of people have questions on this one. At least every time I pop in somewhere, somebody does. So while I have this X10 up, does anybody have questions on it?
That's a beast.
I'm just looking for the unmute button.
That's a beast. That thing is massive, dude.
It's not too heavy, but it has that rugged feel to it. The power supply is separate, but it does have that heavy feel without being overly. It packs a lot of punch into there. The retail value of this is released. It's going to be $799. Come with a temperature sensor. Come with a pH probe. So $799 for that. And you get 4 dosers, 4 sense ports, 2 drive ports, salinity, and a pH. So this could be your single controller, the first one you get, and have everything that you need for $799, which I think is a really good deal.
Right.
But going back, one more time. I'm sorry, one more time.
That's okay. Target release date.
So you got me there. So I never say, we never say. CoralVue, our motto is under promise and over deliver. So I'm not going to tell you a date.
Aquashella, Dallas?
In May, I'm not going to say a day. Summer. It'll be hot. It'll be hot outside. All right.
It's Texas. It's always hot.
So that's what you get. I will tell you, I do believe, and I think my boss will be okay with me saying this, I do believe the Kraken will come out first.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So
wow.
The Kraken, if we don't know what this one is, again, another waterproof device, another hydro spraying, but our next endeavor into a state-of-the-art. There is no other power supply for the aquarium industry like this. It doesn't exist. We have an introduction of a new port on here. This is the Hydros Kraken. This is a control unit with 8 of these red force ports. Now, we talked about the orange ones, the drive ports earlier, which are the 12 volt for dosers or CO2 solenoids for water solenoids, 12 volt. But we have a lot of 24 volt things on our aquariums and a lot of those big 24 volt bricks too.
Yeah. Every
single consumer grade electronic, for the most part, 85, 90% is on 2 size barrel connectors, a 5.5 mil and a 3.1 mil. I think 3.1 mil. 2 size barrel connectors are the industry standard. There's a couple of proprietaries out there. But what we'll do is we'll take this force port, and you know that end of that power brick, that big brick you have on your tank, it has one of those barrel connectors on it. Well, we'll take that power brick and set that aside. And it'll go from GX12 connector to barrel connector to provide 24 volt DC power up to 10 amps per force port. That's a lot of juice. Okay. 10 amps per force port. So what you can do is you can start to eliminate that spaghetti mess under your tank of anything 24 volt under 10 amps. So that's power supplies for lights, for pumps, for the wave engine, for anything 24. I don't care if it's a TV. As long as it's 24 volts in DC, you can put it on here. Now, eliminating that power brick, that spaghetti mess is really nice. And I think that's what's going to sell this a lot. But what the real reason we made this is battery backup. So with this, we can start to battery backup anything on here. Now, I'm not going to sell you a battery. We're not a battery company. Right now, the industry standard is, for example, well, let's say this. A battery backup right now in the market is 18 amp hours. Ours is, the ice cap one is about 10 amp hours. For example, if you were to head to Advanced Auto Parts and pick up a $50 battery, you get 25 amp hours. And you can hook up 1 battery, 2 batteries, 10 batteries, this entire room full of batteries. The more you put into hydros, the more you get out of it. There is no real limit to what you want to back up. So we can start to keep our tanks safe. You guys are all down in Texas. You still remember the Texas freeze, right?
Ooh, yeah, baby.
So I'm up in Chicago. I got cold, but my power don't ever go out. So, you know, that battery backup is something that we should all be concerned about. You know, if we have this much money invested in our tank, and this goes for hydros in general, but if we have this much money invested in our system, we should have some sort of control, whether it be just for temperature control, for temperature monitoring and alerts, because that's the #1 failure point of any aquarium is temperature and a heater. We're all guilty of it. I know some of us are less, but we're all guilty when we first started of buying that super cool $300 coral that was super awesome, but our heater is still a glass heater with a little dial on it. It's 50 watts and it's so undersized that we need to get a bigger one. But it's fine, you know. So we need to start looking at that equipment to make sure it's all good. My dream, and it does not exist right now, my dream is to have a DC powered heater, and it doesn't exist. So I am pounding the ground trying to find somebody to make it. That can fit on a 24-volt battery backup solution. UPC is one thing, but that'll start to drain that battery really quick. Yeah. Kraken and X10 and Ivy took Magna last year by storm. We released the announcement for that, and we've taken our time to get it together, but we're doing it right, and we're building it in-house. So that when good things take time. So I appreciate everybody's patience on that. But I have faith that when these devices are released, Hydra's going to start to be seen in a fresh light. So I really look forward to that. But that's the main things for Hydros. And I really want to start talking about some of our other brands too, because we have a lot to offer. I was talking to Lisa beforehand, and, you know, we were talking, I was like, well, what do you want to talk about? And she goes, well, you know, I think the main thing is there's so many brands that you guys have out there. Nobody really knows, like, the umbrella that CoralVue actually sheds over everything. You know, Fauna Marin. I heard somebody say Fauna Marin earlier when they were listing our products. And let me tell you, we got that in not a year ago, but about 9 months ago, and I got a sample pack before then to try out and start learning about the product line and everything. My jaw is on the floor with the absolute quality of Fauna Marin. Now, we say that a lot about our own brand, you know, of course. Try it out. Please reach out to me and maybe we can figure out a sample or something like that. But try it out and it's going to show the results. For example, I talked to Cloud Schumacher is the CEO of Fauna Marin, and he was at Magna, and we started talking about salt because there's a new salt coming from Fauna Marin. It's called Purity. But Cloud was very particular in saying that there is only one salt. Fauna Marin only has one salt. I go, what do you mean? There's 2 salts right in front of me. What are you talking about? He goes, no, it's the same salt. He goes, same salt. And his thick German accent too, drinking a beer.
Yeah.
It's the same salt. And I go, what exactly do you mean by that? The Fauna Marin salt that we know now has all the elements in it. It has calcium in it, has alkalinity in it, has magnesium, trace elements, all the stuffs that we need. But what if we get to a point that we've overdone it to where our alkalinity is 14, to where our strontium is so, our magnesium is 1800, whatever it may be? We need to start taking corrective measures on that. So Purity coming out is the same salt with nothing added onto it. It is a pure salt, is a baseline salt, a corrective salt. So if we get to the point to where like, hey, I kind of dug myself in a hole over here and I need to sort something out, A purity salt, a cleansing salt can do that. We can do a big water change, bring those numbers down, have the ICP test available, because the Fonomarin ICP test goes out to Germany and it comes back and you get all the results. We all know how ICP works, but they take the calculations to the next level. So we can enter those numbers. We can say, okay, well, we tested the ICP at all these levels, and now we have an elemental line to go along with that. So if we're low on iodine, okay, well, here's the amount of maximum you need to dose today. Here's what you need to dose tomorrow. And here's your daily dose for the rest of time. And we can start to do that for every individual element that we want to track. A lot of us, when we start this hobby, we talk about don't chase the dragon, don't do this. The 8.3 dragon is what I hear all the time, chasing that 8.3. But sometimes we need to kind of, track what we're doing and make sure that our corals are living and grooving and everything is in check. So Fonomarin provides a path to do that. That's simple to easy understand to the end consumer without making it overly complicated. Any questions?
Yeah, could you describe one product that I don't know, I've been looking at was the Connor X1 Pro Wi-Fi dosing pump. Is this
the X1 Pro T Wi-Fi dosing pump? Yeah. So we're probably all familiar with the Connor FX STP, which is like that big, heavy-duty, peristaltic, continuous duty pump. The X1 Pro T is its little brother, continuously duty rated up to, I believe it's 120 mils a minute. I want to say 120, maybe 100. Please don't quote me, 100 or 120, but up to 120 mils a minute continuously. So I picked one up for my calcium reactor, and I wanted to try it out because we can continue to do it as Connor. We can say, okay, well, I want to dose this much at this time, this much at this time. We can say, okay, I want it to be on continuously, and it just runs on a binary fashion. So of course it can be a standalone product that works incredibly well. The Connor app is completely renovated as of last year. So if you're familiar with Connor products before, it's completely rejuvenated for now. But also we can put that in manual mode to where we can put it directly on a Control XP8 and start to control it via that.
That was kind of one of my questions was how, so it's got its own standalone app.
Yes.
And you use just a standalone app to use and I assume it'll handle both, at least two together, right?
Yeah. So hydros can't tell it to, hey, spit out 26 mils right now, spit out 56 mils right now. The Connor app, you absolutely can. So you can say, with all the Connor doses, you can say, I want this dose at this time. But what's different about that FX STP and this pump that you're asking about, the Connor X1 Pro T, they can also be put in what we call dumb mode, but what it's called continuous mode, to where if it has power, the rate that you put on there is what it spits out. So say that your calcium reactor, I'm going to use that as an example. Calcium reactor needs a continuous drip. You want to keep that high at 100 mils a minute, but we're adding something at a slow dose. We want to drip calcwasser. We can start to bring that down to say, let's call it 50 mils a minute. Still plugging it into hydros and that turning it on and off while having a pH control over it. If pH is over 8.3, turn calcwasser pump off, which is the X1 Pro T. So yeah, multiple ways to run it as a standalone unit or as a dumb unit and continuous unit.
So on this continuous mode, how slow can you get it?
On the X, you know what? Let me just pop the app open real quick. I want to say 20 mils is the slow.
Per
20
day?
mils
Per day?
Per minute. So the minimum dose would be just a couple mils. It would be, I want to maybe a mil is the minimum dose.
It's been a while since I've opened it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. One mil is the safe bet. It might be 0.5. Yeah. And that's the benefit of having a slower roll doser is you could be more accurate about that. We're coming out, I don't have to shy away from it. We're working on because we announced it at MACNA as well. We're working on a 2.2 millimeter doser for situations exactly like that. The number one example I use is lanthanum. If you're dosing lanthanum in your tank, you don't want to have it on a high speed doser because 10 mils of lanthanum is a lot of lanthanum chloride. So a 2.2 mil doser or 1.1 mil doser, we can keep that drip real slow on there.
Sweet. Y'all have come a long way, man.
We told people kind of what the plan was. You know, the research and development for the hydro software started in 2017 with that first release of that controller that you mentioned, that ice cap dual gyre controller. It has the same software. Now that controller's reached its end of life. 3 weeks ago, it's got its final update. We're not supporting it anymore. It's just released its final update. The computer processor got it maxed out. But we've beefed that up with Hydros, and we've taken it to the next level to where we can never obsolete the device. So let me talk about that again. Every single Hydros control has these 2 ports on it, and those are command bus ports. That is how Hydros controls communicate between each other. So you can see on these controls, every one of these is wired together. Every single Hydros control that ever comes out will always have those ports on it. So what if someday we get to it and we're like, well, the X10, it's not really selling. We're gonna stop it. We're gonna stop making it. Just because we stop making it, this device will never become obsolete. No Hydros device will ever become obsolete because we will always rely on that command bus.
Wow.
Command bus communication. So we wanted to create a controller like we talked about that can grow with people and can do things, can do fun things, and grow with somebody without breaking the bank. You know, we talked about the XP8 as well. You know, 8 outlet controller, $280, which is the exact same price as a similar product. However, you guys may know that we have Wi-Fi strips as well. You can see one right behind me right here. This is a 4 outlet Wi-Fi strip. Our motto is aquarium automation for everyone. So $280 doesn't satiate the needs of everyone, but 4 outlets at $40 does. And we also have 1 outlet for $25. We wanted to make these controls affordable, entry level, somewhere they could grow. Entry level doesn't mean not capable. It means small to start and can grow more. You know, after entry level, there's always more.
Yeah.
One of the other fun things that we released from one of our good friends over in the UK, our friends at Sinai and ITC Reef Culture, sister companies, same company, different company, sisters. You guys seen this yet? So this is.
I seen it on the advertisement on Facebook.
So this is Parwise. This is a par meter and a spectrometer. And not only is it, you know, us at CoralVue, we're marketing it towards the aquarium, obviously, planted and reef, but it works for everything. It works out of water too. So a lot of horticulture guys are picking this up. Grow facilities are picking this up. Vegetable farms are picking this up. But what this device is a par meter and a spectrometer. So we can get a par reading from a tank or a greenhouse or your room, or whatever it may be. We can get a Kelvin spectrum. We can see what color it is. We can see the daylight intensity. We can see the Kelvin. We can see the max range and nanometer range and what frequency we're sitting in, as well as the Cree color per output. On top of that, we can leave this inside of a tank for 24 hours and start to map out intensity and color spectrum of a tank. And say, for example, you have somebody you trust. You want your lighting to look exactly like Mark's. You want it. You need it. Mark has a great tank. You want his lights to look exactly like yours. So if we hook up Mark with one of these ITC Parwise, we can leave it in his tank for 24 hours. We can start to map out everything and make that file available online. And somebody that really trusts how Mark set up his lights can copy over the exact intensity and color to get exactly. Or if they're buying corals from Mark, you're like, oh, I really don't need this to be exactly the same. You know, he's got the magic touch and the fairy dust. I don't know what he's doing over there, but he's doing something. But They can copy the lights at least, you know.
He don't want to share his secret, man.
No, he never does. I talked to him about hydros for about an hour. He answered all his questions, and he's still here getting all the answers. So this device was really cool. And it does not have, extremely affordable because it does not have a brain unit. This is the device right here. Inside of every one of y'all's pockets right now, you've got a computer that's stronger than what we had man land on the moon. So let's utilize that. However, Apple being Apple, you cannot use an iPhone. You cannot use an iPad. Apple does not allow third-party devices to plug into the USB. You can still use a Mac. You can still use a computer. You can use an Android, a tablet, a Fire tablet, the Kindle Fire tablet. You can use any of that and start to get this reading. So now we have a spectrometer at a new price point that's never been had before, $299. A par meter is a little bit higher than that. A competing brand par meter is a little higher than that. Very similar, but there is no spectrometer right around that range. And Sinai developed that. If you guys remember, the original Sinai had pH monitoring, temperature monitoring, and a par meter built in. When that first came out, it was top of the line, and they're still selling like crazy. We have the exclusive on that. We actually stopped by a pawn store on the way. It was really impressive, but we showed them Sinai at the pawn store. They were digging it up. But they separated to create sensors and create things that that can help our industry for affordable. So the Parwise is one, and Reef Delete is another one. Some of us have had the opportunity to use lasers in our tank to burn aptasia, bubble algae, clove polyps, whatever it may be, and it works decent until we get Popeye on a fish or something like that. A fix for that, and something that the technology is rapidly developing, is UVC diodes, UVC LED diodes, which true UVC kills DNA and RNA cells. So if we have exposure to that, which is impossible outside of water, everybody, you're not going to burn your eye out, kid. It's impossible to do outside of water, and you have to hold the button down as well. But we can start to expose aptasia, bubble algae, clove polyps, xenia. We can start to expose that to a UVC light and start to destroy that DNA structure rather than zapping it or calcifying a caustic with a caustic solution on top of it. We can start to just destroy the structure to where it's not allowed to spit out spores. Now, if I'm being completely honest, for aptasia, it's a resilient guy. Aptasia is pretty resilient. You're going to have to get some exposure on that. But the largest single cell organism is bubble algae. Single cell. So a little bit of exposure with the UVC light is going to mow through it. And what we're talking about, I don't have one here, unfortunately, but what we're talking about is a little flashlight. And that was developed 2 years ago by ITC Reef Culture using the top of the line UVC diode at the time. Now, since then, we've taken over distribution. And the way that Craig, the marketing director, explained it to me is, like I mentioned, that diode technology has developed so much in the past 2 years. UVC has completely taken off. We're learning new technologies to the point where the new diode was the exact same price and 1.7 times stronger. So as a sign of good faith, as a sign of like, we want your product to live on and we don't just want to sell you another one, we took all of the, if they applied for it and sent it to us, we took all of the Reef Deletes on the market and we sent it back to the UK to upgrade for free. Just pay for shipping to us and we'll upgrade it for free. And don't buy another one. Upgrade yours to what we have for free. So that just wrapped up. And we're getting those devices back this week and going to send them back out to all the users, send them in. There were about 100. I think there's 300 in the US that started. And we've since the version 1, not version 2. The version 2 is way past that. Version 1, we got 100 out of the 300 updated for free. Just send them off to the UK. So we wanted to provide that little, pat on the back, that little faith that we're not just here to burn you out on another sale.
What is the product you're talking about? I didn't even catch the name of the product.
ITC Reef Delete.
Reef Delete.
Reef Delete.
Thank you.
Sorry if I mumbled through that. My apologies.
Would it work on hair algae?
Yeah, it will. So anything with a DNA structure. For hair algae, absolutely. It has a DNA structure. It will work on it. Hydrogen peroxide is a great answer for hair algae. Hydrogen peroxide.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
think I mentioned that to you once before. No, just get you a little Saliford syringe.
Uh-huh.
Just squirt away.
Okay. Thank you. Because I've
Works well.
got a little balloon that I'm
one-
trying to get rid of.
It does work for hair allergy. The harder one to tackle is bryopsis. So like true bryopsis, when it's attached to a rock and you can't get it off and nothing's eating it and you just can't manage it, that's another one that we can start to apply reef delete to, which essentially looks like a flashlight. I'm holding it like this, like I'm holding a flashlight and holding it up. But a picture of a small flashlight that can only be used underwater and it has an invisible light.
Get one for the club and loan it out like the photometer.
What's the price on it, Connor?
So that diode is extreme demand. So $399 is the price tag on that. High technology. However, I'm seeing a really good response from service companies. Again, we all talk about service. Those are those high tech users. That's exactly the product right there, Sonia. Service companies, I'm getting great feedback from them to use it in the field, but also renting it out. It's another product that you can rent out just like the Partwise, and you can gain your money back on it and start to make money on a product for a 2-3 day rental.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Among that, CoralVue is expanding to freshwater. Now, I didn't want to dig too deep into it because this is Marine Aquarium Society, but we're all aquarists at heart here. I miss my discus so much. I want discus so bad. CoralVue this year is hitting freshwater hard. Now, the only brand I can say so far that we're bringing on is DFWMAS. If you've ever heard of DFWMAS, it is a Singaporean-based company. Big in Asia, huge in Australia. And in Australia, this is known as a high-end aquascaping brand. They have aquascaping tools, scissors, tweezers, planters, soil, rocks, wood, the works, absolutely everything. And CoralVue is bringing 85-90% of the line on to the US. So we're looking to hit this freshwater market hard with a value plus brand with margins that retailers are going to enjoy. So we're really looking forward to that because freshwater is taking off. We all love our corals. We all love our saltwater fish. Excuse me. But that doesn't mean we can forget about the rest of the hobby. I mean, I saw Karen over there. I saw her scream for joy whenever we mentioned fresh. Do you have a freshwater tank?
Unmute myself. I'm getting ready to set up another one. Right now, I just have my nano saltwater, but I love my freshwater also.
Yeah, and shrimp. I mean, I don't know if anybody here is into shrimp, but that's a huge thing that, is Aquarius related, but also has like a different niche of consumer that don't actually keep fish, but they want shrimp. So we're looking at
shrimp. Competition shrimp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
we're not going to be selling shrimp, but we're going to be selling ecosystems to keep shrimp in.
That's insane.
I mean, we looked at it and, CoralVue, we've always been focused towards saltwater coral, that was kind of our focus, but we realized that we're leaving out not only a lot of customers, a lot of stores, a lot of inspiration, with this freshwater, because I mean, we all started there too. I mean, I don't know who started with saltwater, but I started with freshwater when I was like 7 with my grandfather. My dad had a saltwater tank. My grandfather was freshwater. So I was bound to get into both of them. But we all started at that freshwater level. And if we can get people to look at a product and get inspiration, get ideas, and feel like they have a creative outlet, that's really what we want. And I think freshwater really provides that. I always look at like a Zen garden, if you've ever been to a therapist's office before, you see the Zen garden inside there and you always play with it. And I think that's an extension of, what we're trying to do with aquariums, and aquascaping is a big thing that has a specific niche. So we want to cater towards that. CoralVue this year is going to go big in the freshwater market. DFWMAS is the first brand that we're bringing on. And later this year, sometime, you're going to start to hear some more recognizable names with that too.
It's exciting. Well, to me, I always thought of freshwater as being a gateway. For so many people, it's like saltwater's too intimidating. I can't do saltwater. I can have some guppies. And then they kind of work their way up, maybe go to brackish. And so that's actually how I kind of got into saltwater. I thought there's no way I could do saltwater. And I found the club and yay.
And I mean, let's be like, this may cause a little bit of a stir, but I love doing it. I'm on the side of a true high-tech aquascaped tank, not a jungle scape, but like a true high-tech, and like, which is for those non-planet people, that means injecting CO2 into the tank. For a true high-tech planet tank, I believe it's harder than a reef tank to maintain that, to maintain everything. The plant is not trying anything to survive. It's just, oh, I'll live if I live. A coral is an animal at the end of the day. It's really pulling out all the stops to do what it can do to survive. That's my train of thought. Not everybody agrees with it, but to each their own. But I'm definitely one of the guys that sits on Instagram late at night and just goes through the planted discus tanks.
Man, some of those guys, the scape that they do is insane.
Oh, the competitions where it looks like you're looking at some sort of a mountain range with a path, with a river running through it. And it's like, wait a minute, this is in water, but it's so amazing how they
do like the sand waterfall too. Have you guys ever seen the sand waterfall to where they put an air stone underneath the sand and they have a PVC pipe that goes up and it creates a sand waterfall that looks like it's so incredible how some people do that.
Cool.
So we're lucky for this year because we've started to explore into this freshwater market. You're going to start to see some high-end aquascapers, some influencers on the freshwater side running our products, Hydros, Dymax, and the other brands that I almost just slipped out there.
It's all good.
But as a reminder, we are a gold sponsor of Reefapalooza this year, and that includes Reefapalooza Dallas. So stop by, and we're going to have our brands there. Not just Hydros, we are traveling as CoralVue. So we will have a Biz there. We will have ITC Reef Culture there. We will have Reef Octopus there. We will have Fauna Marin there. Forgive me if I'm forgetting anybody else in my brands. What was that?
Next back?
No.
Or Mac back?
Nope, that's not us anymore.
What?
Yeah, no, that's not. Somebody else took that over. Exclusive.
Wow, that's depressing, man.
Absolutely not. I mean, to each their own. We're all in this to expand the hobby. Some other ways than some other people. But their products still work with us. They still honor the warranty on the wave engine. They still sell us some parts. We were big into the parts for that too. So we would provide a lot of spare parts rather than making a customer buy a whole pump over again. Why not just sell them the motor block for $60? If a cage breaks, just sell them the cage again. So we partner with them on the wave engine. They still honor all warranties. They're a great company, and yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, this industry is way too tight and niche to be doing anything about anyone. We all got to work together. We all got to build this hobby up. We all saw what happened in 2020. Everybody was stuck at home, and all of a sudden, we got the hottest hobby in the world. Look at that! Man,
everybody just started buying.
Oh, it was a great year. But at that time, I was a service tech, so I was sweating a lot. We sold a lot of tanks. But yeah, 2023 is going to be a big year for CoralVue, expanding its horizons, expanding what the capabilities are, expanding it past to what we just see here. Hydros is fun, it's cool, has a lot of possibility, and we expect to take the market hold within a couple of years, especially after release. More things coming. Research and development is number one. So we are pretty confident in what's coming up, but we do that without forgetting about all of our brands. We do that with including Fauna Marin. We do that with including other pump companies. We do that by including Comore. We do that by including Ice Cap. We do that by including Fauna. All these brands in our umbrella, one cohesive unit. We're a family here. And that's really true. And I mean, going back to it, is Reef Octopus was our number one brand. It is our number one brand. It's the most recognizable, world-renowned brand. But we help build that into what it is. We have a very close relationship with the owners and high management of that company. They're actually going to be here in a couple of weeks to visit places, make videos, come to our headquarters. Very good relationship. And that's how we got Dimax too. The owners of those companies are both Singaporean. They're both very good friends. And we've talked about what we can provide and how we can maintain this family relationship. At the end of every day, that's my favorite thing about working for CoralVue is it's soft, no stress. Everything is copacetic. And we just try to make everything work together and make this industry fun again.
Yeah. Cool. I love your product, dude.
Thanks, Jax. I hope to see all of you guys at Reef. Please come to me. I'm like, I saw you. Please come say hi, come talk. Maybe if I have food samples, I'll truck them out. Like, we're a New Orleans company. Mardi Gras just ended. We still got the costume. We still got the move in it. And that's a fun one too. It kind of shows our spirit. I made the post a while back. Our office employees have Mardi Gras off. We celebrate those local holidays. So we send
that's a big event in Louisiana, man. Everybody,
if you don't let them off, they're gonna revolt. So, we gotta do it. No, but that's a big one for us. CoralVue sponsors a float. We give back to a charity and a scholarship. That's what I'm looking for, a scholarship. So we do that every year. I just realized now that we're at an hour, so I'm gonna let Lisa take over here. But if does anybody have any questions? As a reminder, I'm very active on Facebook. Anybody here is free to message me at any time. But I highly urge you to join the CoralVue Cares group and the official CoralVue Hydros community groups. Join those two groups, and you'll find me on both of them.
Connor, really appreciate what you did for us tonight.
No, it's honestly my pleasure. I hope I didn't babble on too long. No structure is the best structure.
And I do have a drawing for everyone who's here. And Kim, if we can hear you, so if you can hear me, you are entered into the drawing as well. So this evening we have two giveaways that we're doing. So we have it in two sizes. We're going to do the small size food giveaway first.
Shake, shake, shake.
She pulled out something white.
So Murray, you just won the small food. Congratulations.
Sweet. Congratulations, Murray.
Said Murray, you can only feed small fish.
And he has a blue neon coming, delivered tomorrow.
Nice.
So, cute.
I know. He's setting up a new tank. You can see it there by his elbow. The next person is getting the 8-ounce, and that is Mark.
I never get enough PE Mises or PE Mises food.
That's perfect, because he's got a really big tank, and I got a really small tank. So
that worked out just right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, and they're slow sinking pellets. They're great food. Connor, thank you so much for coming out. That we had a very different end there. Did anyone
very unique?
I shut off the recording. You're welcome to stay for any questions. Is there anything anyone wants to get on while the recording is still underway?
No, we're good to go.
Okay, I'm gonna.